Okay. Well, we're online. How very exciting. Okay, well, time for episode 2 of our Formula One UI live streaming series. So, just had a succulent Chinese meal for lunch. I'm ready to go. What did we do last time? We created our, well, I showed you guys the storybook system that we've got up here. Our call out component, which we created previously. We created this position component. We can take a label, so you can say 14, and there's a couple of sizes there as well, which is exciting. And then we have our driver bar component as well. When we set up the stories, there was a bit of fiddling around with getting the controls set up for this story, but yeah, but we got that, so that's really cool. So what do we want to do now? We kind of faked, what we want to do is create this totem pole design, which has a bit going on. There's a bit more behind the scenes that going on that you can just see here. You would think that we've sort of created an aspect of it by grouping the bunch of driver bars together and mapping over it with our data set. But then we've got things in the background like, you know, you can see this view here where you can see all the drivers and their, I guess, gap between them and the leader. There's also this one where you can see the gap between each other as well as their current tire choice that they've got on as well. There's this one which we probably won't do, but this is this is a part of the totem pole where you can select 3 drivers and say, like, maybe they're on screen right now, they're being focused on the camera, so you'd highlight them saying they're currently battling for the grid position. So that's an element as well. We probably won't do that one. And then you've got fastest lap, which is this purple color with the stopwatch that indicates the fastest lap. If 2 drivers are under investigation, there'll be an exclamation point in an orange square over here. So we'll do some stuff like that as well. That sounds like fun. Okay, so let's start. And let's not forget our lap time up here as well. We'll do that too. So let's start by creating a totem pole component. So we got our driver bar with a group. We're kind of sort of faking out at the moment. Is that the one? Yep. Okay. So let's do that. So in our components directory, let's create a new file and we'll call it totem.js. And I'll more or less just copy the syntax from the other file. So copy all of those. Copy all of that. And this one is going to be driver bar from driver bar. We'll export const totem pole. Okay. And I'm just going to copy the story that we created for the driver bar. So it'll look something like that. Yeah, I'll copy that whole thing. Okay. And then I'll import leaderboard as well. No. I'll make that a prop. So I'll say drivers. And that'll be drivers. I'll import that data set in the stories file, which I'll also copy from here. So we import React, we don't import the driver bar, we import the totem. In fact, I can just copy all of that, replace all that with totem pole, and I can kill that. So I just need the single, we'll just call that primary, This is our primary story. Drivers will be leaderboard. So all we're doing is we're creating one story called primary. We put our arguments into this thing called totem pole component, and we just pass all of our drivers. So that's an entire leaderboard from the data set. So very similar to the group we did before. If you didn't see that, we have a data file out here where I went ahead before and created an array that symbolize drivers. So the first driver here, position 1, number 33, Max Verstappen from Red Bull, has fastest lap, has penalty. All the drivers share that same structure, and there's 20 drivers total. So in this case, we are just importing the whole leaderboard and we're pushing that straight into our totem pole. Well, that should work now then. Args is not defined. Args is not defined. What? Oh, that will do it. Okay, so literally the same as what we had before, right? With our driver bar group, basically the same without the controls at the moment. In fact, we're not even going to have controls. We're just going to have the one, well, we won't have the same controls. We won't have size and length. Or will we have length? Because I think there's a variant as well where you can see the full driver name. Is that a thing? I think that's a thing. Let's just have a quick Google. F1 TV graphics. Yeah, I don't think that's really a thing. Having like showing the, I was thinking that showing the last name of the driver might have been, you know, one variant, but maybe I'm mistaking for something else. Okay, so let's go with that. Now the totem pole group, one thing I'm going to have to do is have a fixed width for this element here, because that's also going to come in handy across the top just here. In fact, I could probably just build that in as one component. So I'm not sure how wide that is. We'll just sort of make up a number in a moment. But we're not just going to pass an array of objects. We need an array of values. We need to have an array of components, rather. We need to have one wrapping container. So let's do that. So instead of return drivers.map, I'm going to put that inside some curly brackets. We'll say return. Let's chuck it in a div for the moment. Which will produce the exact same result. But now we can do this. Max width, let's go width of, make up a number, 100. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Make it a little bit wider. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. The next thing I'll do is this part up here. So, could extract it out to a component as well, but I'll just put it in here for the moment. So span lap, span, I'll just go 12 out of 72. Okay, let's give it some formatting now. One thing I'd like to do before tokenize our fonts a little bit, because we were hard coding that F1 font in a few places, and I want to not do that, tokenize it a little bit. So let's go fonts, I guess. So we'll just go default. Where did I use that? I used that in driver bar, didn't I? Yep, display bold. Okay, so we've got our 3 fonts. So if I come back to our driver bar and I say fonts, say fonts.bold. Keep meaning to do that. Yep, same result. That's good. And our position component will need the regular as well. So instead of Formula 1, we'll say fonts, and then fonts.regular. Or was it default? I think it was default, right? Yep. Okay. So let's build our lap component then. Which I'm going to put down here for the moment. Export const lap count. I think I need ESLint or something to start yelling at me when I don't type something correctly. Okay, 12 out of 72, that's what we expect. Now, let's run some CSS. So again, we'll get our use theme. And we'll say const colors equals use theme. Background color equals colors dot backgrounds. What do I call that? I need autocomplete. Primary. What's wrong? Use theme's already been defined. Ah, whoops. Primary. What did I call that? Text.primary, background.primary. Backgrounds.primary. Okay. Yep. And we'll say fonts. Font family. Fonts.default. Excellent. So for our laps here, like the actual lap count, that's pretty accurate. That font looks about right. Where it says lap, that's not quite right. We're actually going to want to use the white font for that. So I'm going to change this to, I'll just write some CSS for that. And we'll say font family, fonts.wide. And we'll uppercase that. Kind of. That's a bit about right. What I will do though is if I enable flex and then flex direction column, we will also get that layout. There is a line underneath as well. I might do that too. Line items, center, and then I'll add some padding. Whoa, way too much. I did just make up that spacing scale off the top of my head, but maybe I want to change that. Oh, there's a rounded corner there as well, so we'll do that. Border top right radius. Excellent. Oh, I'll just put that over there. Hey, that looks better. So there's our totem pole. That's actually not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Wow. How good. I might change the spacing, the padding in the driver bar, because the space because there's a space, there's padding all around all four corners of our driver bar component. When you have a driver bar on top of a driver bar, the space between's doubled. So I might change that. In fact, what I might do is just give it some horizontal padding and remove the vertical padding. and leave the vertical padding up to the totem pole. So instead of padding all four sides, I'll say padding padding left and padding right. Yep. And then I'll say, if I go back to my totem pole, because we're using Flex, we get this for free. No, not Flex. Grid, I'd get this for free. Do we get Flex Gap? Is that a thing? Spacing dot. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Let's do this. Div. Okay, I got it. Does Flex Gap work yet? I feel like it's relatively new. Gap. I kept in my head going between Flex Gap and display Flex and display Grid. Let's try this. Spacing. That. Whoops. Well, Flex direction column. Nice. Okay. The only thing I want to change now is put the background color on the totem pole, not the driver bar, which is something I'll probably carry along anywhere, like everywhere, I mean. So the driver bar, I'll remove the background color from it totally. And then our lovely totem will have that. Perfect. Perfect. And just the bottom. Yeah, I'll get rid of the padding from the whole padding from the driver bar and just do it on all four sides of the totem pole instead. Using spacing anywhere. Yep. Totem. Padding. So, yep, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks really good. I'm really happy. Where did that border radius go? I put it on the wrong. Okay, so the totem pole has a background color, so it's covering up the border radius from that. I'm going to do this. Nice. So if I add prop types to that now, lamp prop types dot number. Love it. And you can change it in the URL as well, which is very cool. I'll get rid of that group driver bar because that doesn't really make any sense now. Must admit, I'm pretty proud of that. Now, what does that look like if you bolden that slightly? So in our position component, if I go from regular to bold, compare those two. They are totally, that 3 is totally different. It's almost like it's a slightly different font for screen versus a TV versus web. It's too fine if you leave it at regular. Okay. Next challenge now is working out this extra data. So we have the gap to leader, we have the tire information. I don't have any icons for tires at the moment, so I don't know if I'll get that far, but even just like the interval between the different drivers and the gap to leader, those two variants might be good. So what I'm thinking is taking our driver bar and wrapping it with a new component called Totem roll that will, depending on whatever prop, will add in just the driver bar or will add this extra information. The reason why I'm thinking that is I can set driver bar to always be that totem width variable that I created. Totem width. And then you can add whatever you want after that, like positioning wise. But so this is one unit. That's effectively what we'd get from that. So if I try that, so I'll call that totem roll, row, I should say. So created that totem row. So if I replace, this with totem roll, totem row, keep doing that, we should get the exact same result, which we do. And if I wrap that again with, just say div driver bar, again, that'll be no different. But now what we get to do is next to driver bar, I'm going to put in a div and we'll just say, hello for a moment. Add in colors, spacing from use theme. And this will be width of 100. We'll just make that up for a minute. Okay, so that's going to be underneath there. Yes, it is. So that's fine. Write some CSS for that. Display flex. And then flex direction. row, which that's the default anyway, right? I don't even have to do that. And hello is just sort of sitting just there. Background color, colors dot background dot secondary. First time we're using this variable, and it's going to be wrong because it's the same color as primary for a moment. So let's just set it to 30% and see what that looks like. Okay, something's not quite right here. So totem pole, totem row, and then totem row, driver bar, width 120 pixels. But it's only 80 pixels. Why is it doing that? Because the totem pole is constraining it. So if I turn that off, we can't really see that, but that's doing what we want it to just here. Right, so this is when we get really weird with positioning. Because we don't want the outer element, which is our totem pole, to constrain what's inside of it. Unless we remove that constraining width from the overall element. Yeah, let's do that. What do I mean by that? So if I go back to totem pole, where's our width? There. So let's get rid of this. Totem width does not exist. But I will put it on the lap count. The lap count will have width of totem width. Yep, sounds good. After that, we have this component, which is right now like 100% width. It's just taking up the width of its child container, which we don't really want. Do that. Width, fit content. That's what I want. I want width, okay. Why does that look darker now? That should be like 10%. Lap count, background. Okay, so I want to get rid of the background from the totem pole. And I want it just on the driver row. So here. crap, and now we have that issue with the space between. Okay, so we don't want to use gap then. Gap won't work. Lab count. Damn. So back to the same issue with our double spacing. I don't really want to make a 4x small padding, that'd just be weird. Yeah, I didn't do a very good job of naming these spacing tokens. Especially because you're not going to use any of the high-end ones anyway. It's only the small stuff you're really using. I guess we just do that. Cool, let's do this guy. So instead of hello, what do we put in that? What do we call this? Is this interval? Gap, it's gap to leader. So if I look at our data set, we've got gap to lead. What's that guy? We don't have interval in this data set, which is interesting. So let's just stick with gap to lead then. And this is going to get weird when we start looking at that string, but we'll look at that in a second. Driver.gap to lead. That was right, wasn't it? Oh, gap lead. Yeah, let's do some text. Font family, fonts dot default. And color. Colors.text.in primary. Yep. And we'll do our middle align. Let's test that on a different colored background. Let's get a photo from F1. This one. Background image. I think that's the right syntax. Yeah, nice. And we'll just change that so it's background size. Yeah, nice. Nice. So now we can see for real what these opacities look like for our background colors, which they're not, it's not very good. So what we'll change it to, if I go to our theme file, let's put primary like 90%, like really, yep, that looks good. You can like barely see anything coming through, but it's just enough. And this one is going to be, I think it's going to be more like 60, which is what it was before. Yeah, maybe it's, I don't know. Could be slightly less. It almost looks grey versus black. It's not really. Yeah, it's more like a grey. Like what if we did that and gave it a little bit more. Oops. Yeah, nice. That looks really good. And there's some, I think that's some border radius there as well. Yep, so I'll add that too. In fact, there's a few things we're going to do here because it's not, we're not going to have, so you've noticed that we're merely just mapping, I need a drink. Okay, so the way we've constructed this at the moment, we've got an array of 20 drivers, and we just map through each of the items in the data set and produce one of these components. And so you saw in the data set that the gap lead variable for Verstappen looks like that, and then Hamilton looks like that. The format changes, but that's in the data. We haven't done that. So what we want to do with our first item, we want to do a couple of things. First of all, this number, when you're watching it on TV, would make absolutely no sense at all. All you want to see is this is the gap to lead, so you'd replace this, as they've done it on TV, with leader, or gap to lead. So we'll swap that out. And then for the first item, we'll also round the corner as well. So how do we do that? I could do it via an index. I could say driver position. That would work. So I could say driver.position equals 1, then leader. Oh, it's probably a number, not a string. Bingo. Okay. That was easy. And then we can do the same thing for our rounded corner. So we can just do this. And I'm going to split these up into null components in a moment. So the syntax? I am completely forgetting how to do that. Ah. No. Oh my god, I'm completely forgetting the syntax. I want to do conditional styles in a CSS prop. Guess I could do that. I'll do this instead. There. Nice. I'm really happy with that. Parameters, backgrounds. Can you do a background image? Alright. Well, I'm really happy. Got a totem pole. So now what? What do we want to do now? We can do a speed trap, because that kind of riffs off the call out that we did before. Pit window open. Sector 1, the clerk. Actually, that could be cool, because then we'd introduce this purple color. Live speed. Yellow flag. Could do a yellow flag with a red bar on top. That would still be a call out. Okay, let's try that. So we'll commit our work for the totem pole. This might be a good time to mention as well that this website's actually live. You can actually play with it. The only issue is that the fonts don't work at the moment, but we might fix that at some stage. But I'll show you this. So if I go to, this is the GitHub repo for F1 UI, which is the, there we are, 14 seconds ago, that's the commit we just made. So you can actually dig through the code if you're interested in having a look at this. Just go into the source folder and components and have a dig around, or look at the theme as well. And we have actually hosted this as well on Netlify, so every time I push to it, it gets rebuilt. Probably won't be up to date just yet. It's still building in the background, but this is the current live version. So I've left in some of the default stuff there for the moment, but there you go. You won't see it like this because I've got the font installed. I don't think I should exactly tell you how to install it, but theoretically if you did, it would appear like this. Otherwise it'd just be in Times New Roman or whatever your default font is. But you can have a dig through at least seeing what it looks like with your font installed. You can have a play with all these different variants, so that's quite fun. But yeah, and the GitHub repo is there as well, so feel free to take a look at that. I guess for one more little trick before we finish up, let's do this yellow flag. In fact, I might even get an icon as well. Let's see how that goes. So one question I have at the moment is, how do we define our call out component? Like in a design system, every component has to have a purpose. So right now our call out component is only for our replay, which looks like this. And it's a red bar, a rounded corner. Where is it? There we are. Whoops. Yep. So there's red bars around a corner and it says replay. That's about as good as it gets at the moment. So let's have a go at doing the yellow flag. Let's do another component. That's okay. I'll call this a flag call out, because we'll say red flag, green flag, and yellow flag. And we'll copy all the code from our call out component. Oh, that's the old one. That's why it wasn't updating, because I was on the wrong URL. Okay. So this component won't take any children. It won't have to. It'll just take a prop. It'll take a couple of props. We'll just start with flag callout by itself. Let's say, look at that image again. Yellow flag. And sector 1. Sector 1 is a number. What does that look like? Like that. Okay, I'll zoom right into this. This is what we're making, that guy right there. So we'll drop off the red border and we'll add rounded corners for just the two right sides. So border top, let's get rid of that. Bottom right and top right radius. And then we'll say, let's add a color. So we'll add a warning key to our theme. I'll use this nifty app called Contrast to pick up, it's built for contrast checking, but we'll use it for just picking up that hex code. So a yellow flag will be in the color of colors.warning. And we'll change that to, we can use our fonts key now. So instead of display white, we'll say fonts.bold. And we'll capitalize all of that. Yellow flag, sector 1. that div is going to be obviously inverted. So background color will be colors.warning, and color, which is the text color, will be colors.text.inverted. Great. Now, because there's padding, obviously it doesn't go edge to edge. I could make it a black box and a yellow box, and have the yellow box have bottom radius, the black box have top radius. Or I could still continue to have, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have just two boxes. Okay. So we're not far off. The only issue I can see is that padding equal on all four sides? I can't really tell. That spacing there looks different to that spacing. I know, 20 and 20-ish. Does look bigger. And next we need a flag anyway. So what icon libraries do I use? So we use hero icons. You can use this one. You can use that actually looks really cool. Copy JSX. Neat. Actually looks pretty cool anyway. But we'll make it we'll make it the same font size, the same size as the other thing. So Okay. That's not too bad. It's not accurate, but it's not too bad. So we can add a couple of props. The first one being you wouldn't have, so you could have a yellow flag in certain sectors, meaning that only sector 1 might be a caution area, but the other 2 sectors the cars can continue to race. You could have a yellow flag and then a green flag, which is restoring it back to normal, and then you can have green flag sector 1, that's valid. But you wouldn't have like red flag sector 1. That wouldn't make sense. Red flag is for the entire race. So I don't know what a red flag looks like, but that would be a different call out, a different design. So this would be called a sector flag component. And then you can have a state of yellow or green, or yeah, I guess yellow or green is fine because that's how we reference them. Typically with design systems, you wouldn't just say like a red button or a yellow button. You'd give them some sort of semantic meaning. So a danger button, meaning that if you clicked on this, you're probably deleting an item, doing something destructive. So you want to call it out as destructive by using color. But in this case, saying yellow flag or red flag is correct. So then you have color red, color yellow, color green. Cool. I'm going to pick up a green color while I'm at it too, because I'll use that right now. So if you see what I'm doing here, I'm grouping these colors by like in a flag group, because if I just put yellow, green, and red, that red color, you wouldn't exactly know if that was like warning red or brand red that you see up here. So, which I will just copy for the moment anyway, but it's probably not really that color. Red. And then back in our flag call out, say flags dot yellow. Yep. And then doing this. Will produce the same result. And now we can implement a prop. So I can say flag call out, which I'll rename to a sector call out now. So we're just defining the different options for this component. So our color prop will be one of yellow or green. which hopefully that will pick up now in the controls. Where's the thing that turns on the controls? Where is that? What's the button that you click to bring up the controls? I've lost it. I am going crazy. I can click that one about 5 times. Oh my goodness. Right, what was that? Show add-ons A. Right, thanks. Okay, sector call out. Let's push some args. Okay, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green. Perfect. And then we can change this to say which will be lowercase obviously, but we can use CSS. So text transform, uppercase. Yellow flag, green flag, yellow flag, green flag. And we can say sector okay. So we can say yellow flag, sector 1, sector 2, sector 3, green flag. Okay, wonderful. I'm happy with that. Next up, we'll do a massive collage, just like this image back here. I'll bring that back over. I mean, compare the pair. It's not too far off. Hey, maybe theirs is a bit flatter and wider, but I'm happy to leave it at that. Alrighty, so we'll commit that. So I'll call that sector callout. Push that, and that will be on GitHub. There you go. So if anyone wants to check out the code, you're welcome to on my GitHub, which is Nathan Simpson F1UI is the name of the repository. And you can also see the built site in Storybook deployed on that URL as well. So f1ui.nathansimpson.design, which if I go to it, looks something like this. You can see the components down here. So yeah, I might leave it at that now. I'm pretty happy with those results. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.